This is not a conversation I really want to have. I'll be totally honest. I made my opinion clear on that this whole time. I'm going to run through what's been reported this morning from the BBC, from The Athletic, from The Times, about Bruno Fernandes, about Al Hilal. And there's a couple of important conversations and a couple of important points I want to raise in this video. Give me 10 minutes of your time. I want to speak about Bruno. We all know what's happened here, right? Al Hilal, they're in the Club World Cup. They want to make a marquee signing before the competition starts. By the way, have you just seen the news that Madrid are paying Liverpool 10 million euros for Trent just so he can play in that tournament? That's mental. But they want to make a marquee signing, and they've earmarked Bruno Fernandes. His agent was spotted out in Saudi, in Riyadh, at the Four Seasons Hotel, and he met with Al Hilal officials. And then the story broke this morning that Bruno is given serious consideration to the move. And I'll run through what the actual story here is. You can see Bruno's given serious consideration to the move. It is felt Fernandes has not ruled out the prospect of leaving United, and the numbers involved here. The deal, according to people familiar with the matter, speaking anonymously, is for 4 years on 25 million a year net to Bruno, equivalent to triple his current salary. So from a financial perspective, this might be groundbreaking news. No, it's not. The money in Saudi is nuts for the players, and that's for Bruno to consider. That 80 million is genuinely laughable. I genuinely think it's laughable. 80 million for Bruno. With all the money that they've got, and all the money they're banning around and throwing at players, you're going to try and get Bruno for 80 million. Get in the bin. My opinion has been very clear on Bruno since day one. And now, look, please give me a few minutes of your time so I can explain this. I tried to have this conversation in the live chat, but it's very difficult to sort of articulate things when you're also speaking to everybody. Bruno Fernandes doesn't want to leave, right? He literally just said this after the last game of the season where we finished 15th. Bruno Fernandes does not want to leave. Ruben Amorim does not want Bruno to leave. He made that abundantly clear, quote unquote. For sure, Bruno takes responsibility. He's important for us. He's also important for what we want to build with this team. Now, here's the kicker. And this is something I think I said a few days ago, and it's something that's just like, it's become more and more obvious, I suppose. If Bruno Fernandes is asked by Ratcliffe or asked by Wilcox or whoever's going to speak to him, doesn't really matter. The powers that be above Amorim and above Bruno will be looking at the money, even looking at 80 million and going, yeah, man. Yeah, we'll take that. And I think if Bruno is told it's best for United if he was to leave so the club can reinvest that money, then Bruno Fernandes will leave Manchester United. Now, there's a headline at the BBC that's really, I thought the BBC was better than that. Bruno Fernandes would not be quitting Manchester United. The only reason Bruno Fernandes will leave our club is if he is told it is actually in the best interests of our club for right now, this summer, in the reset, the rebuild that we are doing, that we can use that 80, 100, 120 million, however much we get for you, to reinvest into the squad. And at that point, Bruno Fernandes will be like, okay, then I'll leave. Of course, for Bruno, it's going to work out great because he's going to triple his salary in that sense. There will not be one fibre in my body as a United fan, and I'm only speaking from my personal perspective, that will be happy to see Bruno leave. I don't want him to leave our club. Footballing perspective, what he adds. Look, he's not the greatest captain we'll ever have. I've already had this conversation before. I'm not going to try and put him on that pedestal, the likes of Robson and King, because he's not. He's not near those. But where we are as a team right now, we need Bruno Fernandes. I think if you had this conversation next summer, right? If this existed next summer, I think it would be a far easier conversation. But with everything that we already need to do, and this is what I was trying to articulate, everything that we already need to do, the idea of then trying to, because you can't replace Bruno, right? Anybody who comes in, you're not going to see a video on United People's TV saying replacing Bruno Fernandes, because it's not possible to do that in one player. What it would be United would reinvest the money in a couple of players. And for the team as a collective to take one bit of what Bruno does, take one bit of what Bruno does, and collectively as a team then do it. But there wouldn't be any part of me that would be happy about Bruno leaving from a footballing perspective, but I'd understand exactly why it would happen, and it would be purely a financial decision. Manchester United's captain may well leave the club in a summer where we're going to be doing it. And you might say that, well, if you want to do a full reset, Sam, then you're going to be getting rid of Bruno. I wouldn't get rid of Bruno. Amorim doesn't want to get rid of Bruno. The only reason he leaves is if he is asked by the club and told that it would actually be in the best interest of the club. Because I think Bruno's got the best interest of the club at heart. And if he is told that, then he'll leave. But he won't quit. It won't be Bruno Fernandes looking at that's why that headline pissed me off in the BBC. It won't be like Bruno Fernandes going, how much? Sweet. Let me just dash United off and just go over there and get the bag. Because that's not why Bruno Fernandes would go. Mate, this football club, man, really will be the death of us all. I don't think anything's going to be said in the post-match after the game against Hong Kong. But there is a very finite timeline on this because the Club World Cup starts, I think the 11th, is it the 11th of June? Thereabouts. The transfer window opens on Sunday early for clubs. I think it might actually open early for everybody, but it's been created early. So those clubs competing, like Real Madrid, can register Howson and register Trent in order to play in it. And now Hilal want Bruno to be their marquee signing and to go to that tournament. I don't know whether he'd be the captain or not, but this thing sucks. It really sucks for me. I don't want Bruno to leave. I think we're a better team with him in. Do I understand the logic of selling a 30-year-old is going to be 31 in September, is it? For, I would say, north of 100 million. It has to be north of 100 million. Do I understand the logic of it? Yes. Would I, in a couple of years' time, look back and say, you know what, that might have been the right decision? You know, there's a possibility I'll do that. But right now, as it is, I'm too invested, man. I don't want Bruno to leave. And this is why I'm not allowed to make decisions for my football club, because I wouldn't be able to as a fan. I can't make a completely objective opinion on Bruno. Not after, just not after like at a time where I have been able to question like the characteristics of like 99% of this squad. I haven't really been able to say much about Bruno because he's always given everything. Yeah, there've been flaws. Yeah, there've been moments. Yeah, there's been a lot that he could have done better. But Christ. I would get rid of the overwhelming majority of this squad before I even considered selling Bruno. But simply because of the finances of our football club, it seems like it's being considered and could actually happen. Do you think he really will leave? Let me know what you think.